let's start with the to get the negative cuck out.
Dun, dun, dun.
Some say I eliminated this thingy and it makes me petty. Well, then call me Petty Monroe.
Shout outs to Petty.
Please do the honor.
Okay, so as we stated in our inaugural podcast, we are fledgling podcast, and this is strictly do for self, so there will be a learning curve along the way. In the interim, we've received a first bit of critique on Facebook by the Honorable Rosano Davids. So the post goes on to say, here's a few tips. Get a mission and a vision. Get a producer or two. Get a team of researchers. And number 4, define your content. Watch your first episode. It's a bad podcast in podcast terms. Now, honorable member, unfortunately, this is a... Yeah, we say we're not going to start any beef here. But all things considered, this is a labor of love. This is a project that we took on a year ago, and it took us a year to get to this point. So while we do respect your input and your views, we do believe as one of the few podcasts currently in the genre, on the hip-hop front from Cape Town, I think we are doing our part. And once, or should budget allow, then these other niceties could possibly take place.
This is so bad, it really isn't. The thing is just it is a teachable moment, right? This opportunity. Why I wanted to do a podcast is I came from the SABC. They do it that way. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But my objective is not to be to get producers and stuff like that. This is a podcast about 3 brassa and just explaining their point of view on and not a researched piece
Scripted
of
content, yeah.
Scripted content. Daai is lang al verby jou, man. So get on the program or it's as simple as that. It's a new day. Klaar.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like if we take this setting away, that's a whole studio set or whatever. If we take this away, and we grind around the fire, whatever, and we talk now to shit, that's basically what this is supposed to be. It's just that we're in the setting now.
Yeah.
And when you are just chilling and talking a whole lot of nonsense, you don't need a mission and a vision for that. You don't need producers and researchers for that. At the end of the day, we did say in episode 1 that this is our views. Like it, don't like it. You know, that's where the comment section is. You know, if you don't like it, challenge us on things. And if we are maybe in the wrong or whatever, we don't see it as maybe most people see it, and we might learn something from that as well. So yeah.
Like we said, we welcome any critique whatsoever. You can leave comments on the YouTube channel, on Facebook, or on Instagram. We'll take it with a pinch of salt, and we'll see how we can apply ourselves. Also, like if you guys want to have anything specific discussed, we can probably slot that in future podcasts. But first and foremost, it's our views, and basically, like it or leave it. But we're going to keep doing what we're doing, whether we have an audience of 1 or audience of a couple of thousand.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, enough of the negativity. Let's go to the positivity. Shaq's birthday was yesterday.
Yeah.
Shaq, where you at?
Duidelijk. Ja.
Hoe was je birthday in Swantes?
Nee, lekkertjes. Nee.
Die koek is op binnen.
Koek is op binnen, ja. Nee, het was duidelijk. We had a lekker chill evening with a mochi. So, ja.
Nou, lekker.
Lekkertjes.
Van de bad geleden.
Taking coffee on the sit also.
Nee, een beetje whisky later.
Yeah, whiskey in the coffee.
So you can do the honors of today's topic.
Yeah, so today's topic is Lieve Heksie. Today's topic, there was something, an album that was released quite recently by a Cape Town artist called Youngsta. The album's name is 3T. I think it stands for Things Take Time.
Yeah. I thought it was 3T in terms of like the Jackson.
The
group.
Jackson.
I was like, yes, I was making a comeback here.
So basically, something that Nantel came up with or thought about was that when did Orion Winters The Dawning come out?
The Dawning came out in
I think 98?
97.
96 or 97.
97,
Yeah.
definitely 97.
And that was by our industry standards, that was a hallmark time period for that album to come out. That album was well produced. If memory serves me correctly as well, I think that went to the States to be mastered at the Hit Factory and stuff like that. But the masses didn't rally behind it like we're seeing with Youngster. So the topic for today basically is what comparisons can we see? What are the differences? What are the similarities? First and foremost, Orion Winter is an R&B singer, for those that don't know, that are maybe too young, born after 2000, wouldn't know. The song Love's in Need of Love, or Love's in Need of Love Today. That song still gets playlisted, still gets played on the radio today, and that was the hit single of that album. But it's an R&B album. There were some MCs on there as well that were featured guests, and then Youngster's album is obviously a rap/hip hop. So we're not comparing the genre, so to say, but what we are comparing is this was Orion Winter, originally from Wellington. I think he lives now in Cape Town. I'm not sure where he's living, but he's Cape Townian, he's South African. Let's put him under the Cape Townian banner. He didn't get as much support as we in the know, we the lovers of that album thought he would have gotten.
Yeah.
And now we have Youngster, almost like, what is this now? This is about 23 years later. 23 years later, we see a big support base for his album. Yeah, differences. Let's touch on it. That's one of the topics. Let's go.
Okay, so this album for me is sentimental because it's the year that my wife and myself started going out. Okay. So it was very good. Weirdly enough, Ryan wat die binne is? Ryan wat die binne is. Hy was gebore daai jaar.
Okay.
And I told his mother, check here, kies sy naam Ryan, maar dit Ryan is 'n boring. Gie dit Ryan, because check nou vir die binne.
Ja.
Sy sê nee, sy gaan dit Ryan nou. Ryan wil nou self sy naam change na Ryan toe. En op Facebook is sy naam Ryan.
No, but I was going to say, like,
you know what I'm saying? It wasn't me
yes.
that influenced him. As dat hy voel na hy smaak om die naam Orion te het.
Okay.
So yeah, wat dink julle?
Well, I think if you're looking at comparisons, back in '97, the music industry still relied on the old formula of the research and development guys, R&R guys, going out and then allocating specific marketing budgets to it.
Yeah.
Fast forward till today, where Youngster's touched on in terms of marketing, he's got a strong team behind him. So everything is do for self. So it's in-house. He doesn't have, I think with the exception of Jerry Brand, his manager, I think his original team is firmly behind him, and he's managed to allocate all the different spheres of the music business industry. So he's got his merchandising line. Yeah. He's got his management that will dictate exactly how much he charges per show, etc. And he's branching out into a lot of different collaborations. Bear in mind, I think this is his first official release or monetized release. Yeah. I think Crazy Arabian was the LP that he also pressed.
Yeah.
But the rest of his projects, and I think was over 30 mixtapes, were made available freely. Yeah. So in the 97 era, the amount of volume of work at Nantel, at least not Nantel, Youngster put in, you wouldn't have been able to do that in 1997, because 1997, you as an artist, you basically had to put out an album every year. Yeah. Whereas Youngster's been doubling up 2 to 3 albums per year with mixtapes.
And also, wasn't the internet age?
Now let's get it all in perspective.
The internet age was also like basically in its infancy.
Yeah, I
we
think
still
like-
had dial-up. We still had dial-up.
52K modems. Like,
Yeah. So nah, it wasn't gonna happen.
Yes, I think like in that aspect, the music industry today is totally different. We don't rely on record labels anymore, now with the exception of being overseas. But locally, a lot of units are pushing independently.
Yeah.
I can't say like what's up in Joburg these days. I know there was a couple of record labels that were deep in the news in terms of scandal and whatever.
Yeah.
But locally, the likes of Gallo, Sony, is like very far in between that people are actually still getting signed. People aren't chasing record deals anymore. Also with the advent of the whole 360 deal is where record labels realized that artists are making money more on their tours and their merchandising than actual record sales. Piracy has played a huge role in it. I mean, we were there in the infancy of Napster, when Napster first came out, and there was a whole furor about people ripping music and MP3s, and now it's the norm. It's like people are just dropping their albums. With that being said, without having a firm support base, a footprint like in your community, local community, you cannot just keep dropping mixtapes online, because at the end of the day, it's the internet. We are inundated with everybody. If you go into Raimcliff, everybody's dropping a link. Now and then I'll have a listen, but there's too much. There's way too much, like to filter out what is good. So,
Yeah, but there's a positive to that and there's a negative to that.
True.
Sorry, my word to break. When this album came out, there was a story that somebody lost his house because of this album. Somebody gave money for this album to be for the dawning.
Okay.
I'm not sure who it is. I don't think it was because it says here that
There's Lee Downs
and Dino Michael.
Yeah.
Let's not go into
Dino Michael, yeah.
Yeah. And Syndicate was Dino Michael is a syndicate.
Yes, yeah.
With today's internet and you don't have to fork out that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody, you don't need a backer really. You can put it out, but you still need buy-in.
There's less cost
involved, yeah.
Involved, yes.
But you're dealing with a lot of competition nowadays than back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think with the existing model that's being used, you still, to a certain degree, still need a bit of payola to get onto their playlists. Because that's how it worked back in the day. It was the record company puts a bit of cash in the DJ's hand and your tune gets spun. So in order to break through the noise, like if you're looking at playlist committee selections these days, I don't think a lot of the artists on the internet will be able to break onto the traditional radio station. But I think youngsters also show that once you have the following, he didn't get onto radio.
Yeah.
As a result of at least he didn't use radio to break. He broke through the mixtapes, through the people, getting to know his sound. And if you listen to the first, I'd say 15 to 16 mixtapes, his sound is totally different. His content was more ghetto, but also at the same time sounding more American, until he found his stride and he now has his unique offering. Funnily enough, I'm listening to other guys breaking out from Josie and whatever, and people were critiquing youngster for sounding American, but everybody else in the industry sounds American.
Yeah.
So like, what
most
the
of Joburg
fuck?
sounds American. Most of them.
That's the thing. So how do you,
Well, the English guys at least.
how do you then create something uniquely South African or with South African flavor that's going to appeal to international ears? I mean, I think our house music is enjoying more attention internationally than our hip hop.
Yeah.
But I think with the advent of the internet, I think Youngster has done a couple of tours to Australia.
Yes.
So I would encourage him to keep pushing that boundary, trying to get on as much international stages as possible.
Kijk, je zit nog gepraat van Payola, no? That is relevant to today also, no?
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention names. So I'll tell the story without trying to mention names. A couple of years ago, two years ago, yeah, there was this Joburg company that invited key role players over for a holiday. Not really, just to come, we'll fly you in.
Yeah.
And they invited a friend of mine. Hy's in 'n hoë kop, hy's 'n lekker position. En toe sê die bra, kyk jy man, ek wil net hang net aan met die. Jy wil net my baas vra vir die of die. So he was like, dude, they told him, dude, it's up to you. En hy sê, nee, kyk hier, hy gaan dit doen nie. Seker jaar na hy, toe dieselfde company, is 'n groot company in Amerika, in Joburg, en toe is hulle nie kakken vir Payola, en almal wat by die paard gewees het basically in die kakken gekoop, basically written warning seker en sulke dinge. As my memory is so it's still a problem today, dude. It's still
a dirty
alive.
word. It's a dirty word. Now there was one time I was listening to, I think it was on 5FM, whatever. This DJ that had the slot while I was in the car. He mentioned that he's been interviewed, or even in the interview. This is it's an interview with probably on YouTube, some guy that does interviews with people. But anyway, and then this guy asked him, "Does Payola still happen?" So he said, "Yeah, he believes it still happens. Just he's never been approached by anybody to play songs, whatever." And I know we're going off now,
No, that's what the podcast is about.
But he mentions that the problem that he has with Payola is that you're messing with people's creativity, man. You're messing with their livelihoods and stuff like that, because somebody that has money but they might not have talent, they bypass all of the levels to get to a certain point, to get to the point where, like, okay, now you're gonna get playlisted. You know, it's not just like you go to a radio station and you put your hand in your song and hopefully it's gonna get playlisted. There's like a lot of variables, other variables that comes into play, like do you have a following, blah blah blah. Now this person comes and they have 20K or whatever, and they give this DJ, and the DJ plays their song on the radio, and they automatically now all of a sudden have, like, they're on higher rotation or whatever, but they got no fan base. Like, that's messing with creativity, in the sense of those others that put in the hard work and all that stuff, and then they don't even get to see a high rotation, like, ever. So,
but let's make it clear that you can't just pay a DJ.
Yeah, no,
they obviously have like every radio. I don't know that every radio station. I know Good Hope has the music committee.
Yeah.
And we vote basically. But I mean, you can. But I doubt it will. I kan dit sien gebeur aan nie.
Yeah. Look, also, go.
No, go ahead.
Nah, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, with the youngster and okay, 30 and the dawning. You made a good point that youngsters, the amount of airplay and stuff, and is so-called quote-unquote commercial success that is seen at the moment is through all of those mixtapes that he put out, is through the fact that he built up a fan base. Whether he done it consciously or subconsciously, whether he knew about it or didn't know about it, but that's the way the music industry is moving nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like, or not even now, it's like been like that probably for the last 5 years, maybe even 10 years, where the record labels is not in the business of signing a no-name with talent.
Yeah.
And then A&R the shit out of that person.
Yeah.
You know, that's not even the business anymore. The business now is you have to show the numbers on your social media. You have to show the numbers via streams, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then they will come on board and do the XYZ that you can't do.
Yeah.
And they will put the money behind that. So he's kind of like worked the system properly. But, and in that scheme of things, that's where the comparison between 3T being a quote-unquote success comparable to The Dawning. The Dawning was a good album. Like,
dope album.
It was a good album. There are certain songs where I was like, but you're not gonna, not all, every single song on the album is always gonna be like amazing. But all in the totality of the album, it's a good album. It was well produced. Sonics is there. The Sonics wise of the bottom is good. Ryan Winter, for me, is still probably one of the best singers out there that Cape Town, South Africa has produced. And it is actually a shame that this album didn't get to see the success that it was supposed to have seen. But that was a different time also. That was a time where it was about like how visible are you going to be, not just as an artist, but how visible is your album, your product, how visible is that going to be? I mean, I don't know how much people still walk into CD stores to go buy CDs, but I used to I was like religiously in the CD stores, look and listens, the musicas, the CD selects, the whatever. If you are just like the normal person out there and you just like, okay, you're just looking what is front facing, basically like, oh, this is what I can see, whatever. If you're not like the digger type that's gonna go scour and go look for stuff, then you're not gonna probably find albums like The Dawn and stuff. You weren't or were not gonna find it that time. Like you had to be in the know to find it. And that comes down to the fact that did the record labels do enough? Or did that record label, whatever the label was,
I think it was probably the record label.
did they do enough?
In terms of marketing, yeah.
And then again, also, we have to look at it like from a point of the genre itself. Was R&B ever big in South Africa? You know, that's another thing. Like, as amazing as this album was and still is, because I mean, we still play it, we still listen to it. As amazing as the album is, in the 90s, it was either house music, which was also in its infancy at that time, so it was house music, or it was hip-hop, which was also in its infancy. We were also still getting to understand and know where we fit in, kind of thing. And then the rock music was big at that time.
Yeah.
So African rock music was big, gospel scene was big. Yeah, and those guys. So with that being said, where does R&B fit into that? I just think like as good as an album as was, maybe the genre wasn't doing it any favors as well.
For me, I think that the people weren't in a space of mind of supporting me. With youngsters sy career in general, dink ek hy het 'n bittere, he does this, man. So he starts slow and gets people on board with events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that happened with them, and they didn't have a street team gedachte.
But also, to answer with that, it's like Youngster has he has 2020 vision at his disposal now. You know, it's like
a lot of mistakes were made.
A lot of mistakes was made that he doesn't have to make now. So he can like see like, you know what, like street teams, for instance, like Youngster has one. So, or I would gather that he does. So with that being said, is like Ryan Winter, taking nothing away from his artistry and stuff like that, but he was basically most likely all in focused on making the album. He wasn't worried about the marketing and stuff like that. Like
to do the
nowadays, an artist has to be worried about the marketing, the promotion, all of those things, because you have to tend to want to do it yourself.
Like Drake said, one of his lyrics, I'm doing land speeds records on roads that was paved for other people.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
But I actually, when I don't know if you remember, Orion, to the brow op dinge gesit backstage.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, now, because they used his album and the flop of his album, part of the script type of thing. So I okay, now gaan die ding ruk, you know what I'm saying? Maybe second album, but it just didn't materialize.
Also depending on the deal he signed with the label. Quite frankly, that's Lee Downs and Dino Michaels. They're not a label, so to say.
I think it's also like a production company.
More like a production company. So I think it might have been like there for the first 4 days, like into doing something actually professionally. And obviously big labels can shut you down. Back then they could. It's like someone just block you out, no matter how good it was. Also funny enough, it was like realizing that Love's in Need is a Stevie Wonder song.
Yeah.
So it's like my whole issue like with no, it has obviously people know the song, but my issue is like, especially when it comes to Cape Town singers, be you R&B or rock, whatever, it's like no matter how good they are, they're always singing covers.
Yeah,
they're always singing covers of other artists.
Big issue at
Same with Youngster, no? Because he's not doing a cover, but one of the
Yes,
songs.
but he's utilized
utilizing,
beats,
West Coast
beats and melodies. Yeah.
I was going to touch on that, but yeah.
The West Cap song. Yeah.
No, not actually. Only that. There's a number of songs on the 30 album where there were a lot of what they would call interpolations.
Yeah. I mean, even I know there's a version of Looney's 5 on it. One of his, I'm not sure if it was on 3T or one of the previous ones.
And then there's one where, if I'm not mistaken, the melody it's a Nate Dogg melody.
Yeah.
You know, so
Good Hope, no? Good Hope, I think that's the one.
no, it was let me just check it. Cape of Good Hope.
I think it's that one.
Yeah, one of those. But anyway, it's like Anyway, continue.
The thing is, the youngsters of today don't really know, man. Like my son saw Tupac doing this, and he's like, "Why is he doing what youngsters doing?"
Yeah.
Well, dude, no.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
Don't get it twisted.
If you just listen to the audio, it's West Coast W.
Yeah.
That I showed.
So yeah, I think to a large extent, like even though Ryan Winter did then, he did a Stevie Wonder cover. Youngsters using other artists, whether it's the melodies or the.
I think it's just for familiarity. Yeah.
But I think deep down, everybody grows up listening to certain music, so it strikes a chord. With Youngster's team again, I think Youngster carefully aligns himself to the pulse of the youth. Whereas in '97, like you said, Ryan might have just been concerned with actually producing the music and focusing on the artistry and leaving the management to the label, etc. Whereas over here, you need to have your pulse and everything. Yes, you can have a big team, but inherently as an artist today, you need to know, like for instance, the whole thing with Spotify. It's like how much are artists, producers, composers actually getting back from the music being streamed, which is a major concern also.
Yeah.
So like we need to as this industry evolves, so does the distribution platform, so does the live performance set. And I still think today, in terms of the mathematics of survival, whether you're a dancer, recording artist, performance artist, visual artist, you need to be cognizant of the fact that your reputation is your calling card. So you can be how dope as an artist, but if you're a cuck person, it's not going to fly. Your bookings will dry up because it's word of mouth, it's industry professionals and people's going to say, look here, recommend me a crowd pool or whatever. Because to be honest, if I'm booking artists for events, you don't always get that anymore where people will come with a following. Because you're looking to offset your event or production costs against ticket sales.
Yeah.
And if people aren't willing to come out and support just for a specific artist, the industry is very fickle. We all know you can't make money off the sale of music.
Yeah.
You make money off your shows and your merchandise. So it's a tricky field to work in these days. And I think that's why also you see like a lot of the production companies in terms of hosting events, and especially in hip-hop, have moved to Joburg.
Yeah.
If you look at Cool Out, they're no longer here. Reiko and Akio, them, they all left because the city's live performance scene is...
They do the odd one as they come down.
But it's like, you can't say that you can host a mega hip-hop party in Cape Town anymore. Long Street is dead. Edward Street is dead years ago. I think one of the DJs put out, like, is a dance scene, is a club scene dead? And the answer to that is it's yes.
Are you talking about Malou then?
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
But I think it's a type of party that can't be hosted. Not that it can't be hosted, but I just think that, like for instance, Cool Out Lounge, that is more a 90s, 2000 type of vibe. That's not what the lighties want to hear. Most of them, they don't want to hear that. So your clubs like your Coco and whatever, and the Address and Sneaker Cartel and whatever clubs they are that are playing urban music, they're gonna play what is current now.
Yeah.
You know, so those parties are still happening, as per my knowledge, but not and that's why those event organizers probably went to Joburg, because it's maybe a need for...
Kan julle onthou die tyd, sê 93, 97, 98, toe die julle, like, by Gala, die clubs hierso, dan het hulle B-boys gehad, as voor die speel as the B-boys.
Yeah.
And people they were fucking going tart with that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, you can't do it nowadays because
But that was
hier om te jol.
But that was the infancy of the culture still, man. We, the thing is also, and I think this can go also tie in with the youngster and the Ryan Winter thing. And also for the viewers as well, it's not just about Orion Winter and youngster. We could have put youngster up against
whoever came
out at that time. We're looking at like what are the differences, and but like the lighties nowadays, they can go on their phone, their laptops, YouTube, whatever, and they can find that specific thing. Let's say b-boy. We had to physically go out and find it. That's the difference. That for me is like, that's why people were going on over b-boys before EDD set at whatever club, whatever, because you didn't see it every single day. Now you still don't have to see it every single day, but you can find it on YouTube.
True, yeah.
Like
So your senses is kind of like it's appeased at that point in time.
Like when I got involved with assisting at the African Hip Hop in Durban before joining full time, what I realized, like in 2006, the way the crowds used to react to the dances compared to now, it's like the guy can do a flicky onto his head spin, do amazing, inhuman things, and it's will be like crickets. So like you need to know the audience also as they say the Cape Town crowd. Emil uses this quite often. Is that they want to asset your wallet can trick in order to impress people.
Toe ons gewees het in die States, né? Waar was het?
2014.
Connecticut, ja. The way they support each other, man. Like, ek het my mission gemaakt om saam dinge te praten. Like, ons gesit daar so, Tenswil. Dus ek check dit hier, man. It's like something weird when you come from Cape Town, we don't really support each other with it. And you see that it's like, fuck, this is how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying?
But you see, that's a deeper thing as well. Like I said it when I was in London 2009. I was it was me and Sivin Geezy and Chantal Stanfield and another Tristan Atkins and every time I forget the name of the other girl. But anyway, it was five. Yeah, the other girl. It was five of us, and she's probably now watches this. She's probably gonna say like, "Oh, you forgot my name." And that topic came up, man. About why don't colored people support each other? And Silva asked me this because he's obviously, I think he's Koza, if I'm not mistaken, and he asked the question. And my answer to that was because, unlike the other demographics of South Africa, we are the ones that we are so mixed. We don't know where we come from, firstly. We don't know our lineage and all that stuff. And because of that, we don't know our roots. And because of that, we find it hard to support each other. And there's always this like dog eat dog kind of awesome vibe as well.
Bucket.
There's always this dog eat dog kind of vibe. Like, you can't have what I have, you can't have that, I don't have it, but give it here to me and stuff like that. Where you see like in the black communities, they have the stokvels and stuff like that, whatever. So they are kind of catering for one another and stuff like that. And white people, Caucasian, whatever, they stand together. The Jews, they stand together. Blah blah. You know, you can.
You know what? But just to continue on that note, no? A brother that we used to work for, he told me, hij zei, wat ik like van jullie colors mensen, jullie staan samen met elkaar. Vraag me hoe mensen dan.
From the outside, it looks like a day.
Toen zei vraag van mij, vraag me hoekom. Toen zei mij, like als jullie in elkaar zijn weddings is, jullie zou uithelpen om een suit te dingen. En toen check ik nog aan mezelf. Het is nogal waar, dat is baie dinge wat ons raak sien nie, man. Because we inside of the box, we don't see because they see it from the outside. And Emil also said that, like I think his wife said, it's difficult to get into the nucleus of a family, to be part of the family. You know,
no, look, we are family orientated. as a colored community, we're definitely about family. There's no two ways about it. Like you'll always, like I've heard this story how many times. Like Matani always just say like, yeah, talking about weddings. It's like go to a white wedding, yeah, the food, it's like one course or whatever. But my colored wedding, yeah, it's complete course. Yeah, okay, look, we about family, we about sharing, we open our doors and all that stuff. But when it comes to support, that always seems lacking. And maybe I don't know if it's just from a music standpoint, because if it's, but then again also because I was going to make the example, but then the barber shop is they support it, but the thing is the barber shop is selling you goods and services that you need, so you're going to go there. You're not going to like walk past the barber shop and go somewhere else or get something because the barber shop is around the corner. So he's like, you know what? Let me go to the barber because I can just go get their stuff now quickly. But I'm giving you a product as in music. A lot of times, we've heard it how many times, it's like, yeah, but it doesn't sound American, it doesn't sound, it's less quality or whatever. There will always be excuses before the actual support happens. Yeah,
excuse.
There will always be the excuses, and I think it's where we lack, and I think it's just like it's a deep rooted thing. I would say that maybe Youngster is kind of like showing the way, in the sense that he does have a good strong fan base. The kids are supporting him. I mean, when you listen to the first song on the album, that Pavement Special, where they like basically, it's like a 7-minute interlude, and they talking. He steps into this joint, and I think it's I don't know, his grandfather speaking or older guy speaking, but then one of the other guys says like, "Yeah, look at Youngster. My lighty wants to be like him. My lighty's cousins wants to be like him. Whatever." When that starts to happen, then you know that that person is doing something right in the sense of the marketing, the promotion of that specific product, where even if it wasn't a person, even if it was a cap, and everybody wants that cap must have been promoted properly so that everybody wants it. Like you need to want to give your money to get that thing,
But I think it's more than promotion, man. It's his personality also, man, or his persona, and he doesn't waver off that.
Well, the persona needs to be marketed.
Yeah,
still,
I get what
needs to be marketed.
I get what you're saying.
So yeah, I think like I think he's getting that right, and maybe we will start to see a better support from our community as well, not just for him but for the others that come afterwards, and it will actually be cool if we can see then the support for those that came before him.
Yeah.
Because music is not just going to the future. We have to go. We can. I mean, his listeners can also go back and say like, okay, let's see who influenced Youngster, and they get onto POC, and they get onto BVK, and they get onto whoever, and then that support can also start as well.
Yeah, I think in order to do that, you have to arrange like a Musha so-called colored festival, which incorporates a lot of things that people want. Just touching on the covers again, Ryan Winter did the Stevie Wonder cover. Robbie Jansen did till today the best rendition of Redemption song that I've heard so far. But it is, I think to a large degree, if you as an artist can do better than the original and make it your own, I think if you're going back to was it Idols back in the day when Will Young did that Evergreen song? I was like, that was dope. And I think you can get started, but I'm tired of seeing our artists just going to work in Spain or overseas, singing cover songs or being boy bands and stuff like that. I'd like to see at the end of the day where something locally done, it's traditionally Cape Town, gets the support it deserves. But like Youngster does, he caters to his market's demands or what their likes are. So they like into smoking weed or having a party or pumping whatever. His music and his videos will cater to that. So how do we then, as a colored people, collectively, because obviously everybody you got your jazz aficionados, you got your hip hop heads, you get your rock heads. So how do we then make a product or create a market that people can actually support.
I think like with Youngster, like let's take this album for example. Even though they are the interpolations of West Coast melodies and stuff like that, and prominent songs we know like, oh, it sounds like that, blah blah blah. He didn't completely take that. It was a pinch of that with his original take on it. That's cool. That's fine because now you're giving somebody like, oh, you guys know how that sounds?
Yeah.
While the sounds kind of similar, so cool. But we have an over-reliance in Cape Town, and it comes down to the club scene also, where when a band gets booked, it's like you need to play covers. Like that's what they want, which is an issue. A bassist that studied with me music as well, Eugene Ackerman, I think last year I saw him going like full on Facebook saying like, nah man, enough is enough. Like he's a session musician. He's one of the best bass players. He's actually from around the corner here as well. But he's one of the best bass players, not just because we studied together, but for me personally, in Cape Town and probably in South Africa as well. But he decided like, nah man, this cover thing is like he's not done with it, because he probably still does covers, but he started focusing on putting out original music.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. And he focused on putting out original music. But the backlash on Facebook against him from his own kind, when I mean own kind, like other musicians, like saying like basically pushing down the whole original music idea. Like that's how mental we are already. Is that like, you know what? We need to make that 500 rand, that whatever that they're gonna pay you at wherever you're gonna play for the night.
You suck.
But it starts with the musicians. Like they have to stand up as well, and say like, nah man, look, we want to play our own original compositions. It's not far off from the jazz covers that we're doing. We're just doing our own original compositions. And then there was the venues have to come to the table as well. And I say like, you know what? Let's try something new. Let's give them that opportunity. That's the only way that we're going to, as musicians and as creatives, start schooling the audience out there that there is something else than autumn leaves, or whatever, you know.
Maskinada.
So in that regard, it's like we still got a long way to go, but it has to start somewhere.
Check here, I just want to flip the script on this now. No? The 3T album with Youngster. In my view, before Youngster came out, no? All the rappers in Cape Town were conscious. This is a conscious album.
No, it
is a conscious album. But his previous work didn't say conscious.
Yeah.
Wanneer het gechanged? Because Godessa, Devious, allemaal voor hom, POC, Black Noise, allemaal was consciously minded. And that was a Cape Town thing.
Yeah.
When did it change though? When do you guys think it changed? Want clearly it changed though. Ik denk het gekomen 2010. I just, toen ik mijn oor uitviel, dus oh fuck, so this is now the new thing.
I think it changed before him, actually. I think that there were other acts out there that were not as conscious. I mean, I think the conscious thing was you were going to see that more on an underground level, so to say, that there's much commercial artists in Cape Town. But it was just going to be like the ones where you would hear those artists at certain events. But I would say that the younger MCs or the younger rappers that started coming up, that were more privy to the internet, they weren't that conscious. So or not they weren't that conscious, but the content wasn't of a conscious nature. Youngster wasn't the first one, but his initial 15 or whatever mixtapes was not that. 3T, when I started listening to it for this episode to review it or whatever, I expected something else. That's why I could shake my head now when you said it was a conscious album, because it definitely, for the most part, the content was of a conscious nature, and you can see what
he took it a 360 with this album,
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
Compared to his mixtapes.
Yeah, definitely.
Ek is nogal baie bly daarvoor. Ek is baie bly daarvoor.
Well, personally, like in terms of preference, I liked his jazz one that he did with Malone, the Boom.
Oh, yeah, no, that's still my favorite one.
That for me is like that
Yeah.
was dope. But then again, it could be my preference and my history in music, so I can't expect an 18-year-old to know or to appreciate jazz.
Yeah.
So the melodic compositions, and it's funny enough to say that like the older that hip hoppers get, they gravitate towards jazz.
Yeah.
Ek try se laaste album ook, né?
Yeah.
Baie jazzy.
But so like just to touch base now, yeah, keep losing my train of thought. Ek sê Metro Rail, you failing here. Ek sê.
Met 'n trein ding as ek kry.
What I was going to say was just I was going to say something on the Ryan Winters album, so that we can come back to that one. On the youngster thing, what I liked was from Pavement Special, the beginning, like I think almost after every song, then there will be a snippet,
Yeah,
continuation of the conversation.
Yeah, the interludes with his grandfather is very
So
important.
this was a conceptual album from that standpoint, not necessarily on every single song that it fits into the concept, because things take time. I'm still trying to figure out, like, okay, things take time. What things take time? From a song point of view. From the interludes, I can definitely hear it. I'm like, okay, there's a generational gap between the grandfather and him, and now that's how these things are taking time. He needs to learn. He needs to discover these things. Blah blah blah.
Sacrifices made by his parents,
Yeah,
etc.
grandfather really went through all of those experiences. Blah blah blah. So from the interludes and the snippets, I can see that concept tying together. Yeah.
I thought it was 3T because of the how long it took to release the album and just mixtapes after mixtape. I thought it was just that.
Could have been.
But now that you're mentioning it, it makes sense.
But then, yeah.
I think I just want to like check in terms of if you're saying like where did things change in Cape Town hip hop in terms of going from conscious to commercial. I think for the longest time, look, I stepped out of the industry for say good 10 to 12 years. And then I was just basically listening to commercial stuff, to radio and things. But who actually still owns a hi-fi? Who actually still tunes into the radio these days? I mean, we have radios on the phone, but it means that you have to plug your earbuds in order to listen to radio. So my interaction personally,
Is it ear plug in your phone?
no, you must plug in, you must use your earphones to act as an ear. But like, in terms of visibility of artists, I mean, when I came back in, it's like, and that's like around 2006, the likes of Cream, Jacques, a lot of guys stood out, but I don't think a lot of artists
as well.
Yeah, RIP, bro. A lot of people, I don't think that there was a lot of commercial hip hop or hip hop that got airplay on the radios in order to promote them.
Yeah.
I mean, some classic tracks like Ancient Men, Someday. That track is like, that's a summer bumper. If you think back even further back to that, if you're looking at Nasty Weather, it's like,
Nasty Weather wasn't. Nasty Weather and Cool Funk?
Yeah.
They were there, but they weren't conscious. But they weren't in the forefront because maybe it was just my point of view, but I was like conscious.
I wouldn't say conscious, but I think also like commercially viable hip hop. I think for that, it's like people that actually can be on the same level that Youngster is now or worth his equivalent back in the day. I don't think there was a lot of it. There was a lot of hip hop crews and collectives, and Kadesere made it. You guys did also. You were also involved in the Rock State Alliance.
Yeah.
So I
Dope
think
project.
with the exception of I think Kanye then went to Sweden like a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Kanye Mavi. But I'm not seeing a lot of that. And I was actually
Just went to
went to the Netherlands, Holland, but also that was
Crosby, but it was also
that's the thing. It's like I want to say like
but that
Crosby.
that was on the Rock State Alliance thing.
Yeah. But for me, if you besides Youngster, Crosby is doing the fucking most.
Yeah, he is.
He's traveling on a regular. But obviously it's now more of the ragamuffin side of things.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, and he's not seen. He's not on the tips of tongue. Also like, who's Crosby? They won't know.
But now you see, now that opens now, that's another discussion.
Yeah.
Like I've always been of the notion, my views have always been that The radio is not the be-all and end-all. And that has been before internet totally took over the radio. And it was also around about the Rookstad Alliance time that the two of us were on.
When was it, 2008?
2006, I think. Yeah. 2006. Super Dan broke up in 2000. I left in 2006. They broke up at the end of 2006.
Where's the tissue? Super Dan.
And then, and then that came out in 2006, 2007, the first volume. But at that point, and seeing what Goddess and them were doing overseas with the promotion of that as well, that's when I started to realize, like, you know what? You can make a good living without being mainstream, so to say. And Crosby he's proven that. I think when we start doing the guests and stuff like that, we need to get him as well.
Yeah, definitely.
The youngster's the biggest star, colored star, coming from the Cape Place, hip hop star.
Currently, we can say so.
I'm saying all time thus far.
Do you think he's more
individual as a
known?
group?
Do you think he's more known in South Africa than Yamal Biasum?
Look,
I think Yamal is
Yamal is a personality at the moment.
yeah, he's a personality, maar Yamal vat a different route, man.
Yeah,
As a
no, definitely.
youngster.
I'm just saying, like, if you put the two.
But I would say from a commercial point of view, ek dink nie ons het nog nooit gesien 'n ou youngster nie. Ek dink nie.
no,
I'll definitely say, and this is what I'm going to tie into what I want to say now at the album as well. And this is going to tie into what I said something earlier in the year as well. I definitely think that we haven't seen someone with the work ethic that youngster has. I was still on 25 mixtapes, you said now 30. To put out so much content in that space of time, that space of time, and then to still put out this album now, and everything that is done. How old is he now? 26.
not too sure what his actual age.
Anyway, but he's been doing it for a while now, and he's put out so much content that a lot of his peers haven't even done half of that, maybe even a quarter. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that before. I've never had a long enough discussion with youngster, but I know of people that have had discussions with him, and all of them say the same thing. Like, this kid is clever. He's well planned out. He knows what he's gonna do. Like years from now already. So you don't get a lot of people in our creative spaces that think like that as well. So yeah, I don't think we have seen someone like youngster. But do you want to say something before I get to this?
Gather your thoughts. Net van 'n point of view.
I know my thoughts.
Just from a point of view of, was it last year or the year before? Museburg, we performed. Hy was net na die scandal wat hy gevloek het by Rock in the Daisies. Was net na hy. Dude, ek kan easy was amazed hoe die laities aangegaan het vir daai bra, dude. It's like kikkie, it's like pandemonium, bra. It's like hy moet mense uit om I don't think hip hop has seen that, dude. Die ander ding is ook met ons het perform saam met dinges ook was by die waterfront. Dude, daar's een hy girl is gly op passie van hoe nat sy raak vir die bra. That's fucked up, bra. And I seriously I don't think we've ever seen that, dude, from
I don't think we've had artists where like people have gone batshit crazy before. I think Black Nose back in the day and POC also, they had that kind of gravitas. But nothing of late. It's like a hip hopper comes on stage, backpack, whatever. It's like, nah, he's got his towel on and that's about it. So, yeah, definitely he's marketed. And the thing is, I wouldn't say not that he's not conscious, but he's marketed to a group of kids and specifically young kids. I mean, if you hear them saying, my kid wants to be like him, his cousin wants to be like him, it's because of the fact that he's, what is the right word? He's relatable.
Yeah.
So they can relate him. He looks young. He's like still very young. He speaks his slang. He speaks it. He looks good. He's well presented. He's like the full package. like what they would say, they got the X factor.
And also, like we were talking about conscious, whatever. He doesn't. I don't want to downplay the mental capacity of his audience.
Yeah.
But you're going to.
But in this day and age, you don't have to, like when we were coming up, we were in books and stuff, trying to figure out like all the knowledge that we were passed on by the Zulu Nation and stuff like that, the Universal Zulu Nation. And even if you weren't a member, you maybe knew somebody, you got that information, blah blah blah. So we were like hectically into the knowledge side of hip hop, knowledge of self, KOS. He's what's the
Die man is honger. I thought there was a soundbite.
I was like, who's doing that sound?
We need to eat, people. We need to eat.
I'm glad it wasn't mine. But in this day and age, like most of the stuff that I have ever written down has been from a conscious standpoint. If I came out now, or if I started putting out music again now, it would be like too much. Back then, it might have been too little,
the norm, yeah.
or it might just be the norm. Now it'd be too much. So youngster, again, nothing against his audience, and I'm taking nothing away from him. I believe that he is quite clever. He's quite knowledgeable as well. I just think that either him or his team, they marketed him in such a way that like when he does say something like on 30 with the whole YVR and stuff like that, then it's like, whoa, Youngster said so much. That song didn't say that much.
The VOC, no?
No, YVR, Young Van Rubik.
Oh, yeah, but VOC ook.
And VOC, it didn't say that much, but it said enough.
For radio to play it also, no?
For radio to play it, and it said enough to spark the minds of those lighties as well. Which is maybe the right thing to do, because a lot of times, I mean, we see MCs on stage, like Harry says, am I over your head?
Yeah.
They're over the audience's head. I also, there was times where I would perform and I would be like, shit, this guy is not getting it. They're not getting what I'm trying to say. And maybe Youngster hit the nail right. And you know what? I'm just going to give them a little, because at the end of the day, still this is be entertainment for my and for my audience. So yeah.
I think, look, his overarching strategy is things take time. And you can't just, like you said, you can't just hit them with the consciousness at once. For those that don't know or have been following his school tours and stuff, he started off his initial school tour with us, with the He'll Do It Project. Okay. So we did a 1,000 activist tour where we hit quite a few schools. We did 2 weeks of touring to schools. And basically that showed him the formula of how to do school tours, having performance crew, etc. And then I think it's his second year now that he's partnered with Vodacom, and they did the Level Up tour, school tours. So basically we taught him, Kiki, I wouldn't say we taught him, but we showed him how we do it. Okay. With him, He'll Do It Project. We went out to the schools. And even then, when he performed Weeskap and etc. I think he did a total of like maybe 4 tracks, him and Muffin Man. But the thing is, his content that he was teaching the lights is like, Kiki, don't emulate me.
Yeah.
He told him strictly, don't emulate me, because I've got Brasa sitting in the mug now. I've got Brasa, Stikkoppe, etc. It's like, think for yourself. It's like, enjoy the music, yes. Yeah. But also, the system is designed to stream you as a colored people directly into Pollsmoor. And that was some heavy knowledge he dropped on me. And I don't think the kids went crazy. Kinders were twerking, the works. As like Steamer Guy, I think it was the first school we did. I still have the footage. And also we did an interview with him with for Laverne Ipkoi, when she did something at CDI. So we arranged the sound and everything for that gig. I think that was his first Vodacom gig. In die mense kan nie sound provide. But anyways, us being us now, we went out, we did the sound, whatever. Cool. Because of the working relationship we have with him. That's also why we could have him on board for the performance at the African Hip Hop in Daba. And when we did the World AIDS Day thing at the waterfront. But he's cleverly constructed is the way he's going to release that, because obviously you first need to get the masses in, get the market in, give them what they want, and then slowly you're adopting, it's basically audience development, but from the artist side, where he's actually dictating. Dismiss. Okay. So he's taken time to basically say, look here, I want this to roll out. So he probably has a trajectory already as to what he's going to release next. So next might be even more consciousness, or he could have a duality thing where you could do like, you saw him, if we're talking about Hemelbesem, when Hemelbesem teamed up with Isaac Mutant, was double story, and it's like there's two sides to the coin. The two sides of hip hop is like your hardcore versus your Simon Hemelbesem coming from also being a pastor, a religious background at one stage in his career or in his calling. Hemel's done, for me, knowing him as well, he's done a hell of a lot of developmental work. Is where he's gone to the colored communities all across the country. Yeah. And I mean, and I got a music folder from him, like different artists and stuff. But I think Hemel is also, like Emo Adams, as a colored artist, you need to know who's your buying market. Yeah. So, with the exception of Youngster, who else is actually making money off this? Like, off the craft of hip hop in
Cape Town?
In Cape Town.
Sure.
So, like, besides
not many
established artists like Jits, I can't actually, like, on the tip of my hand say, like, there's 5 artists out there making an existence or getting bookies.
It's hard to even think of 5 artists.
I mean, we covered Biggie, but commercially, I don't know a single track of his. No. That was just a Facebook thing that happened.
Exactly.
But he's a performance artist. He's getting ads, etc. So kind of like an influencer thing. But really, I don't know. But in terms of Simon, I know for a fact he's done the hard work. He's done the groundwork. And that's where Youngster and Simon will stand out. Hemelbesem will stand out. Yeah. Is that they fucking got into the trenches. They got their hands dirty. They went and did their research. They checked out the people they can collaborate with. They can check out the competition. Yeah. And they've marketed themselves to specific niches in the market. So Youngster's taken on the youth. Hemelbesem did the opposite. Yeah. He took on the corporate or the actual buying power. Yeah. And he marketed himself to the white audience. Yeah. So he was in a good position with which hip-hop MC is going to be on Radio Sonder Grense. As like your traditional roles is you go to Push Radio. Yeah. From Push you graduate into Good Up FM, or then not further on to Heart, whatever, and that's your career path trajectory. Exactly. But you going and taking on the Afrikaans market, which is untapped, which is brilliant in that sense.
But he's an Afrikaans artist as well.
He's an Afrikaans artist, but he's done some English stuff as well.
No, he has. I mean, under Silence, or that persona.
So, from my point of view, is that Hemelbesem has, to a large extent, also promoted us to the white audience. And that's why I think Emo them is even tapping into this with the Mark Your Famous thing. As like people are seeing, and I think specifically the white market is seeing, that in terms of the preservation of Afrikaans and Kaaps from our side, okay, there's cultural appropriation once again.
Just to make you aware, you know, some people will say, if you say like, Hemel is marketing us, some people might even say like, but who of us is he marketing to them? Because, you know what, some people, and I've heard this before, some people will say like, but he's not a good, maybe not even the best representation of, you know, of the Rainklets or Cape Town hip hop, whatever. You know, well, look, I'm not saying the haters, I'm just saying like
I think prior to that, in terms of battle skills, Youngster and Hemel went up in battles at the African Hip Hop in Durban before.
Definitely.
And Youngster gave Hemel a run for his money, but at the end of the day, Hemel won that year.
Yes, but what I wanted to say, or the ending of that was that again brings me back to the point of us as a colored community, or so-called colored community. Like I said the last episode, I don't like the term, but I'm just going to use it. As the so-called colored community, thank you.
You can have your cake and eat it.
Yeah, is that we are so diverse that you're going to have, and that again comes down to the support again, is that as long as we're going to have that people like, but who of us is here represented, because he's maybe not a good representative of the community. If we have that notion, then we are going to always be in that we're going to have the problem of the broader community is not going to support. Where it should actually be like, okay, you know what? Yamo, no matter what I or she or he thinks about him, he has put in the work.
Yeah.
He's getting he's getting us out there. Youngster, no matter what he, she or I think about him, he's getting us out there.
Yeah.
Let's just
all get along.
Let's sing Kumbaya. And
No, but kyk, there I could say Yelmo Besom has actually shown that it is inclusive of promoting and bringing up other people, because Oxygen is also now on Payola.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at his wife, I think she also made a strategic move in terms of that relationship, is where now she's marketed now, and no, but I'll be straightforward. I know her as Scarlett.
Yeah.
I know her as Scarlett.
Yeah, I also know her
and
as Scarlett,
we had a year with Hakisrat Hartman.
Yeah, she came
at the Indaba in I think it was 2015.
Yeah, she came
No.
under
2014.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the alignment there. So nothing shady. Shady. Some hip hop drama. What's it? Wives of Cape Town hip hop attention.
But
anyway,
girlfriends, wags.
Yeah, but yeah, I think she's also aligned herself now, so she'll be featured in the Keir and the Eisgenoot, etc. Specifically, so alignment is important, especially if you're looking at that market, trying to get to that market. Yeah. I'm not saying they sold out to the market. I'm saying they were strategic, and also that opens up avenues, because we're not also all going to be Kennis van die 6 performers or District 6 performers.
Yeah.
So we're not necessarily going to go with Emo Adams or Lukman's route. We're not necessarily going to do theatre. We're not all going to do klopse. We're not all going to do a specific thing. So I think there are different markets that need to be explored.
Yeah.
And especially since the Afrikaner market has now decided that Rijmklets is going to be called Kletsrem. So they're already appropriating.
Yeah.
So they're already saying, okay, there is a market for this. I think you showed that that video of that white MC with the Ek Like Girls or so. It's Dames, yeah.
Dames, ek kry dit nou
What you see? It's stupid, it's catchy, and it's our today's version of Barbie Girl, which still today is drilled into our heads. It's like, it's marketed into there. But yeah, I think that's...
What I was going to say is, because we didn't even get to reviewing this album yet, but anyway, I'm gonna still give my 5 cents where that's concerned. There was something I wanted to touch on, man, that you said about Biggie. Biggie Balenciaga, whatever the hell his name is, on
Lago.
Yeah, on Facebook. I don't think we here in Cape Town, per se, and maybe even the border of South Africa, we are not yet, as an industry, I stand on the correction, but I don't see it like it is in the States and in the UK and Europe, for instance, where it's about the numbers, like your social media followers and all that stuff. Because a lot of times we will still be seen as an influencer, and that's it. Not like and I mean even we can look at the States. A lot of you hear the conversation where they will say like, oh, now he's a SoundCloud rapper because he's got so many streams on SoundCloud, but it's almost like downplaying the person, because that means nothing that you have the million streams on SoundCloud. Like, you don't have the groundwork to support that. It's the same thing with the Payola thing that I said. Like, somebody comes along, they don't have one follower, they don't have one supporter, but then they put in like 20k or 30k or 50k up front to get their songs played. You still need to have the core base. You need to have a core fan base. And what the Biggie, like you were saying, like we were trying to find 5 artists or 5 MCs that was making money in Cape Town, and you mentioned Biggie. The Instagram numbers and the social media numbers in general, I don't think that is where it's at yet. Yeah, we still have to do the groundwork. Yeah, you still have to get on stage and perform. You have to get into the venues and perform. You have to have a number of gigs lined up and stuff like that.
Youngsters are following socials?
I haven't checked his numbers.
But the thing
We
is,
need to research that.
but if we look at Youngster, I mean, Youngster's always, you can see there's a gig guide. Like you have to have a gig guide, so to say. Like you need to be showing that you're putting in the work, that you're performing. But my 5 cents, man. My 5 cents.
Set your 5 cents in, dude.
Remember, I said, when is this guy gonna run out of steam? Hey, I just wanna come play VOC here. When is this guy gonna run out of steam? Remember? And I said, I feel that he's putting out too much content.
Basically, that was where our dry runs when you mix it.
Yeah. Just
So the viewers won't really know about that.
When we said year in the making,
Yeah.
we had a couple of episodes that we just do to get the synergy right, all that stuff, blah, blah. So we did a couple of test episodes, and in one of our test episodes, that discussion came up. Will Youngster run out of ideas? Will he run out of steam, so to say? And when I saw this album being 22 songs long, okay, the outro, let's not take that into consideration. Let's start the Pavement Special, which is the first one, which is also like an intro kind of thing. We're looking at about 20 songs. It's a hell of a lot. 30 odd mixtapes later, it's a hell of a lot of content. I do think that he has, I won't say dumbed down. He's just made his rhyme schemes easier. Again, for his audience, I think he's starting to realize that, you know what, not everybody's going to catch the multi-syllables, double entendres, all those things that MCs, that lyricists, like we pride ourselves on, like writing those things, but not everybody's going to catch it.
Yeah.
You have to make the message as simple as possible for the lighties to catch. And then, you know what, then you have lighties pushing themselves wet.
No, it wasn't positive.
Rachel's favorite, cream pies and vodka.
You know, wetting themselves for him. What I do want to see, and this goes straight out to Youngster now. 30, I'm just gonna ballpark figure now. 30 mixtapes later, Youngster. Your debut album. Don't put out any new content for the next 2 years. And there's a reasoning behind that, why I'm saying that. I have a feeling that Youngster can tour like for the next 2 years with all the content he has. Take a sit back where your creative process is concerned, and in 2 years' time, come out with the explosion. The reason why I'm saying that is that this is a good piece of work. I didn't like all the songs, but 786 stood out to me. Third Generation stood out to me. 1000 Mistakes, that stood out to me. Mother's Child. Powerful was also good. Okapi, there's quite a few. Sensitive, I think that was for the haters. There were quite a few decent songs. Like more than half of this album was good. I don't want to see a follow-up, what they would call your sophomore album. Yeah. I don't want to see your sophomore album being less than this. I want to see your sophomore album being better than this. But I don't think you're going to put out, and this is my personal opinion, based on all the content that you've put out, based on the fact that you were a more technical MC before, even with the twang and stuff, and then you started to lessen it for the audience. Some, from a technical standpoint, from an MC, I would see that as going backwards, technically, but I can understand why, so that's not necessarily going backwards. However, I just got this feeling that, like, if you're going to put out the second one very close to this one, it might not live up to this, the expectation of what's coming next. Take some time out, tour the living shit out of your whole catalog. You've gone to Australia, go there again, go to New Zealand, go to
I think it's in Namibia as well, yeah.
Go to Namibia, go wherever you need to go. Just tour the living shit out of it.
But don't you think it's perception, man? As jy die perception, want ek dink jy sal miskien die album sien op 'n meer creative mindset.
Oh, definitely.
Maar die majority sal net dink, as hy die persone uitgee, it's dope. It's dope, dan gaat hulle net sê is dope, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's perception.
I agree with perspective in terms of touring because we all know that's what's going to bring the money in. And I think for him to make a bigger footprint, I'm not sure if he's been to the States yet, but imagine Youngster headlining at Trinity Hip Hop Festival or going to the one you guys did at the Kennedy Center to be on the same kind of platform. So that was at One Mic. So I think he's got the gravitas and he's got the following, he's got the numbers behind him.
Or even Africa.
Yeah, to start taking advantage of it. I mean, the amount of features you get from international artists, big major hip-hop artists on Nigerian tracks, etc. I think youngsters should start making their forays into Africa, internationally, do the tour setup. I think for the next 2 years, you can basically make his greatest hits collection from the city mixtapes.
Exactly. And you can still put out a project,
just revitalize those projects and just refamiliarize the people with his other content.
Yeah.
Maybe take something back from mixtape number 1. It's like, yo, this is what it sounds like, yeah.
Like if he has 30 mixtapes, you can take a song of each mixtape and put out like a greatest mixtape hit, whatever.
So yeah, there's different possibilities, but I mean, I'm sure he's already considering the touring circuit, etc.
I'm sure about it, yeah.
But I mean, this is just our views and our takes on things, and as we see what has worked in the industry before, what can work in today's industry, and you're a major force to be reckoned with, and your trajectory is like there. But like maintaining that and maintaining relevance, and then also, if you're seeing the spheres we're going into now in terms of academia, as like hip hop is now going to university, bruh. So looking at that, it's like how to track your career course. You got kids emulating you. You got your the youngster haters or whoever the case may be, whoever's next on the come up or trying to get into the come up. They need to see, look here, this is where you can get, but it's going to take a level of dedication, intelligence, commitment, sacrifice to be where you are. And I think we all know that you have put in the work, you have put in the years. Success doesn't come overnight. It took you, I'd say, 16 mixtapes before you gained enough following and got into everybody's mouths and into everybody's phones, etc. So keep up the good work. That's my point. I'm not sure how we're looking for time. So I think we're definitely over an hour already.
Now let's cut it out.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. To the listeners,
Before we go, I just want to do this. Check. Birthday. Hope you enjoyed the cake.
My boter is gewoon gelijk. Done, eat it. Okay, so we'll check you guys on the next podcast. From here, we're gonna braai a beetje, skunk a beetje, skunk cakes. We out. Click like, subscribe, and stay tuned to the next episode.
Oh yeah,
We're gonna cut now.
My son said we shouldn't say that now. Click like and that's like cool nowadays, man. That's cool.
So what should I say?
It's set up on something like that.
That's the editor's job now to create the graphics.
I'll try and figure it out.
Yeah, but yeah, we're basically gonna now just take this conversation off air, and Nandel's gonna talk about the stuff that he didn't want to say now. He's gonna talk about that now.
Dus wat?
I'm just playing.
Nee, ik wil niet te veel goed zeggen, man. Ik smaak mijn enemies te krijgen, man. Ik is een nice guy, dude, man.
Are you sure?
Dun.
Peace.